Welcome to our Friday interview. Nope. All right. Here we go. Sorry. Okay. Do that again. Welcome to our Friday interview sessions where we interview family travel experts about their travel and adventures on our beautiful blue planet. We ask questions about their jobs, their income, their budget, and we get some stories as well. We're very excited.
Yeah, very rarely do we get a chance to really learn from tried, tested, and true experts in any subject that we love. So today is Amanda and I's lucky day. We are speaking with a family who's been traveling together for over 15 years. Now, some of that travel was full-time, and they've been to over 40 countries with every age of child from newborn to teenager. Now, if you ask Beck and Mark whether or not it's hard to travel with kids, they will tell you yes, but it's totally worth it. And I suspect that if you ask Willow and Marley, they'll say the same thing about traveling with adults. Today, they're joining us from Melbourne, Australia, with a 13-hour time difference. And we want to thank you so much for joining us today, Wyld Family. It's a genuine pleasure to have you on our show this morning, and an extra special happy birthday to Mark.
Thank you for
Thank you.
birthday, even. That's great. Yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, it's always lovely to connect with other families and share not only our experiences, but hear yours as well, because there's always something you can learn about traveling with kids.
I think it's one of those things that not a lot of people feel that they can do. People don't really even understand, like, oh, you can bring your kids to do stuff like that. Like, how do you do that kind of stuff, right? And so I think for some people, it just doesn't even enter their mind. And for some people, they think, I'd love to travel, but I have kids, and they don't realize that they have the ability to go and do it with them.
Brilliant.
All right, so we'll jump right into our first question for you, which is, can you introduce us to your family and what inspired you to get started as a travel family?
I'll introduce it and then I'll let you take over with what happened. So I'm Beck. I'm the mum of Wyld Family Travel. Mark's my husband. We have our eldest daughter, Willow, who's 15, and our youngest, Marley, who's 13. We do as much travel as we possibly can. It's local, international. But how did we get started?
I had been travelling just before I'd met Beck, and I'd come back to Australia. We got together, and obviously I had a really passion for travelling. Rebecca never thought she would travel, or never had any great desire to travel.
He said to me, I'm saving and I'm going to go overseas. And I said, have fun. I'll see you when you get back. And he was like, no, like, you have to come with me. And I was like, no. And now I'm very glad that he convinced me that time to go.
So the first trip we took together, we flew out of Sydney Airport, and the rain was coming in vertically, and Rebecca asked the flight attendant if we were going to crash or not, and he said, do you think I would be on the plane if we were going to crash? So
thank you for that story.
That's all right.
Don't worry, I will get you back.
I'm sure you will.
I rang my mum from the Sydney airport, bawling my eyes out, saying I can't do this. I don't want to go to a foreign country. He's dragging me on this terrible holiday. What's this man want from me?
To Munich and Amsterdam and Paris and Budapest. Yeah, it was
terrible. So, but I quickly got over it. Off we went again.
We did. So that was the first trip we took. We went again about 3 years later. It's after Willow was born. So she was 10 months old when we flew from Melbourne to Amsterdam. It was about a 24-hour flight.
Okay.
A long flight with a 10-month-old.
It was a long flight at times. Certainly, if you can get the front seats with the bassinets that hook against the wall, that makes it a little bit easier. Still, it's a long time to be bouncing a baby on your knee. This is what you got to do, I guess.
When you live in Australia.
We can share your pain somewhat. Our very first trip as a couple was to New Zealand. And it was and we did Cathay Pacific, so the stopover was in Hong Kong, so it was altogether 32 hours in the air.
We did about a 38-hour once. We went from Melbourne, Singapore, Helsinki, Warsaw, Krakow. Was about 38 hours.
I can honestly tell you, he was not a popular man after he booked that flight. Once we arrived, I probably said some very heinous words to him and then went to sleep. So he was not my friend.
Oh, no.
So we sort of we travelled, I would say, sparingly until about 2013, and then we ended up travelling internationally 2013 to 15 to 16 to 18 to 19 to 20.
Yeah.
And obviously we're grounded at the moment through COVID, more through the fact that our government won't let us out of the country. So, we don't have a choice at the moment.
I mean, our country technically would let us out, but I haven't actually even looked that much into it because I haven't really bothered to do that. Mostly because we have moved from Ontario out to Nova Scotia so that we can experience what it's like here in Eastern Canada. And it's nice because the COVID rates are pretty low and they have a lot of things fairly open. And the Atlantic bubble.
I think we're in lockdown 7 here, so this is the 7th time. But in between, in the last 18 months, we've still managed to go to. We went to Sydney and done some local trips here and there. And so, you can only do what you can do at these stages.
Yeah.
We've had a few lockdowns ourselves. I know in Ontario, we went through one where it was the same. Only one person was really allowed to go to the grocery store. And I was an essential worker. So I got to go to and from work. And so I think Amanda, unfortunately, got a little stir crazy, just sort of stuck in the house for a while. But
and I think that even between the two of us, he'd be the more likely to be happy to be stuck in the house. And I'd be like the one who's like, get me out. I need out.
We're essential workers too. We work in sort of healthcare field. So I even though I would be happy to stay home, doesn't bother me. But in that retrospect, locally, I haven't been that curtailed because my job involves taking people into community access and stuff like that. So I still get to go out.
Nice. So you guys did a gap year for 14 months. So I think a lot of the people who watch these videos would love to know how people afford to do things like that. Like, how do you make that kind of travel possible for you and kids? Like 4 people, how have you managed to travel for 14 months? Like and even if you were to be able to, like, once we can do it again, how will you afford and be able to manage that again?
I never thought we would long-term travel. That it wasn't even on sort of my horizon. And unfortunately in 2017, Mark lost his dad. And we were driving to the hospital and he said, we're going to pack up, we're going to take the kids and travel. We can't get this time back again. And this will sound very disrespectful, and I do apologise to anyone who takes it the wrong way. I just thought he was having a little bit of a crisis, sort of getting that news. And sort of said, no worries, Del, that's okay. We lost my mum in the October of 2017 and I was on board pretty quickly.
Rough year.
We saved pretty hard to travel.
Saved very hard.
Look, on the flip side though, we live well within our own means. So we don't live in a big house. We drive old cars, but we make a decent living, so that enables us to prioritise travel.
And what we want to do.
I guess the key with saving to travel long term is either live within your means or have a job that pays well above your means, I guess. But I mean, we didn't sell our house or our cars or anything like that. Like, we just locked the door and locked the cars up. We had friends who lived around us, obviously, so they kept a view on everything else. So basically everything we spent, we saved. We saved, I don't know, we probably saved about 80 grand, $80,000 Australian, which is maybe 60 grand US. So we're nearly 1-to-1 with Canadian dollars. So it'd be nearly 80,000 Canadian dollars, I guess.
We picked up any extra shift. We worked public holidays. I got a second job.
Yeah, I had 3 jobs at that stage. So we were,
wow.
We were dead
so it's definitely like
a commitment to
definitely.
that you save them.
A lot of our close friends didn't understand what we were trying to do. So when we sort of said no to going out and spending a whole heap of money at a restaurant, come to our place, we'll cook tea, we'll just have a barbecue, we'll have a good time. It wasn't something that they understood. We had that goal and we were focused on taking our daughters. And we paid for a few things before we left. Like, we wanted to do cruise in Halong Bay. So my birthday is actually on Christmas Day. So my dad gave me a present and I put that towards our Halong Bay cruise. Willow wanted to go to Elephant Nature Park. So they were really big ticket items that we sort of identified that we wanted to do in certain countries. And we had an account where we said, okay, we need 500 Australian dollars for this thing that we really want to do. There's the money saved for that. Now move on to the next thing. So it didn't come out of our daily budget.
Really smart way to do it. I know, for example, if we were doing like international travel with our kids, if we were to ask them and they said, like the elephant wildlife sanctuary, that we might, and being able to say, okay, well, we're going to put this amount in here for that. I bet you for them, they'd be like, good, okay, so it's totally happening.
To be all honest and upfront too, when you're a travel blogger, you sometimes get perks for nothing, which obviously helps along the way.
We've worked with quite a lot of brands.
Yeah, quite a lot of companies, hotels, brands, tour operators. I mean, not every day and not every week, but when we were looking to do more expensive things, we were certainly looking to partner with brands to make it easier. I guess on what that saved us, like literally we were aiming to spend around $150 to $200 a day. That included accommodation, food, whatever we needed. Which we were easily doing when we were in Asia. When we got to Europe, it was a bit of a different issue because obviously everything's twice as dear there. But in Asia, look, it was quite easy. You'd get a hotel for 4 people,
and that is
$40,
something that helps us
$30,
too.
things like that.
Yeah.
So it's we don't stay in really flash joints. Like we're happy to stay in. It needs to be clean. It needs to be safe, and and it needs to be in somewhat decent place. We stay in a lot of hostels along the way, and a lot of hostels these days, all the good brands, they're as good as hotels. They have a bar and a communal area and tour desks and bike hire and and all sorts of stuff that you can't actually find in a hotel. And for kids, it's way more communal because there's other families traveling, and and everyone ends up hanging out. Kids meet other kids, you meet other travelers, so it's a really good good experience.
People say to us all the time, you stay in hostels with your daughters? Yes, we do. No, we don't stay in the dorms. We have a private room with an ensuite because I'm more comfortable with that. It's a sense of community when you're in a hostel, whereas it's a little bit lost in some of the hotels. At the hostel, there's sort of that common, you've got...
And they're travelers.
Hostels are they're like all the people who are traveling like more part-time, full-time at least. Yeah. Usually.
But I have to admit, staying in a hotel sometimes was just pure luxury. It was just so good. You'd get to some places and you'd go, okay, this is where we're staying. Okay. And then you'd get to the hotel and it'd be like, this is where we're staying.
Look, in 14 months, we only got to one place that we left. The place we left had a privacy issue, and that was it. We were in a hostel, and they had key code locks, but the guy who ran it seemed to have the code for every room, and so it was like, okay.
We might just go.
Oh dear.
It wasn't the Bates Motel, was it?
I have had an experience like that. We were in northern Thailand, and we were about to cross the border into Laos to catch a boat down the Mekong to Luang Prabang, and we stayed in this hotel, and we were the only people in this 5-story hotel on the outskirts of this city in Thailand, with a dirt road that led down the back of this hotel, and there was no one else in it, and I was absolutely... I was freaking out. Like, I was like, why is there no one here?
The dirt path, though, led to, like, just this random forest bit.
Yeah,
the rest of it was clear, and it was just this forest. He set up the GoPro when we went out for tea.
Yeah, I said, I'm setting
because he's like,
I
really don't know what's going on here. So he set up the GoPro so it could see all around our room.
It's so strange. It was a good quality hotel too, and I think later we asked, and someone said it's because it was a Chinese hotel, so it's for Chinese tourists, and there was no busloads of tours coming through this week or something, so there was no one there. But it was really bizarre.
Yes. That would feel very strange. Like, what do we not know about this place?
That's what I was like.
Here.
Yeah, what's going on?
Our next question kind of ties along with that, and that's what are some of your favorite memories about traveling?
There are so many. There are literally just so many. We got engaged in Paris when Willow was a baby. We were that wonderful family who went on a family gap year and also decided to do a tour of hospitals. We like to check out their facilities, make sure they were all running really well. Everyone got sick. Everyone got sick. Mark got kidney stones in Siem Reap. So we met another travelling family, Marie and Keith Skilcorn, and they have World Adventure Family.
Yeah, they got two younger boys.
They got 2 young boys, Jasper and Ethan. And we met up with them in Siem Reap and we had a couple of cocktails. And Mark assumed that he maybe got the wrong sort of alcohol. So we moved on to Bat and Bang the next day. And I woke in the middle of the night to hear the shower going. And I thought, oh, what's going on here? I won't tell you exactly what happened, but he was in the shower and using the shampoo bottle as a pillow. And I said, what is wrong with you? Expanded heavily. No. And he was in heaps of pain. So we ended up in a tuk-tuk at about 2 a.m. I had to lock our daughters in our hotel room and I was terrified because I couldn't take them with us. He was rolling around. And unfortunately, they thought he had food poisoning, so they treated him for that. Ended up on the phone to our insurance company. They were talking medical evacuation back to Phnom Penh. He woke up the next morning, felt fine, sort of wandered down to the front desk with his drip in and said, I'm right to go. I'm going to go to Phnom Penh now. Yeah. So let me out because they couldn't find us. And in all honesty, how could you miss this in a rural Cambodian hospital?
They shoved us on the floor and like you just stay there and then forgot about it.
Forgot that we were there. So we took off to Phnom Penh the next day where his attack happened again and they sorted us out in Phnom Penh.
Yeah, so
I ended up in hospital in Da Nang with a virus and our youngest Marley fell down the stairs in Hanoi and ended up in that hospital. So
those are all like the things that everybody's like, oh, I don't want to have to.
But you kept traveling.
You kept going.
Twice in my life I've been to hospital and both times it's been overseas. So
really?
So people sort of say to us all the time, why is that a good memory? And I think that's something that I was terrified of going to hospital overseas, especially with the horror stories that you hear in other countries and of being left alone with your insurance company and not having that support. We were fine. And so we sort of try and tell that to people as don't be frightened to go to the hospital if you need help because it's something that you need to do. But
I can wheel off a couple of quick good memories.
Yeah, good memories.
Being on the Great Wall of China at 7 a.m. in the morning with only probably us four and the 2 friends we had with us.
Rolled up in Chengdu one day and hoped for the best. And did a month in China. Loved it.
Chased the Northern Lights in Iceland. That was good fun as well.
Halong Bay cruise.
Halong Bay cruise was fantastic.
That was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
Cruising down the Mekong was good for a couple of nights. We had this really big boat that held about 80 people, and there was about 6 of us on there. So it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow, you had a lot of experiences where you kind of got to experience a lot of it without too much.
Horse-drawn sleigh ride in the snow in Poland
on Christmas Day. Yeah, that was all right. Nice. Doing shots of vodka and drinking sausage. Eating sausage. Drinking vodka and eating Polish sausage.
Willow celebrated her 8th birthday at Oktoberfest.
Oh, that was good too. I've been to so many places.
It's really
and then this place and this place and this was so amazing.
It's a dangerous question for people who have traveled as extensively as you guys. So nothing beats central Europe in winter and Christmas time.
Yeah, well, it's so different from Australia. Because
we're summer, obviously. Summer at Christmas time here, so there's certainly no snow. There's no snow where we live anyway.
Our daughters had never seen snow. One of the best memories with the kids was the first time they ever saw the Eiffel Tower. Yep. We took them to the Chocodero train, and it sort of comes down. It's got the buildings on either side, and you can just see the Eiffel Tower, and it's such an iconic place. And sometimes I think it's a bit lost. The beauty of and the significance of the Eiffel Tower is lost, and these 2 little kids both just jumping and screaming, going, oh my God, it's the Eiffel Tower. And it was actually nice to see locals and tourists just smile at these 2 kids, just so excited to see this place they'd seen on the TV.
That's so much better than sometimes Corbin's reaction when we saw something that for us was like, whoa, this is so cool. Like Petra and his was like, that's it.
We've had that too.
Although he did like
we had that too.
He did like the Eiffel Tower. That's true.
Yeah.
Those are some really cool memories. You guys have definitely been able to make some great ones.
So many more. So many more to come. Just like you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have any trips that really stood out for your daughters?
You can just ask them if you want.
Sure.
Hello.
Hello.
So Willow, this is Nathan and Amanda. Hi. So,
Hi. Thank you for coming to join
further mile. Nathan and Amanda, this is our daughter Marley.
Hi, Marley.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So we were asking your parents what their favorite places that you visited were. And so we were just hoping to ask you guys the same question. Where's the favorite place that you visited?
Maybe South Korea.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Oh, great.
For me, probably France or China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why? Why South Korea or China?
I just think the culture was really different to what we were used to at the time. Like it was, we'd kind of like been used to a very Western European style of living at that point. Like we'd traveled to such Western places that going to places like China and South Korea was really new and different, and to experience that culture was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Right, Miles, come in. Your turn.
I probably like France the most.
And why do you like France the most?
I really like the place in general, and probably where I guess it was close to a bunch of other countries.
Yeah.
You could easily go from there to there, and I like the culture there too. So yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Share that in comment.
Yeah, Paris is definitely my favorite city that I've ever been to.
Yeah.
I could literally just wander Paris for a month straight and not
Brilliant.
Wilder was just telling me that he lost a tooth.
He sort of has the same name as us, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's even spelt with a Y.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you. Bye.
Before we get on to our last question with you, we like to kind of just ask a little bit about where people can find you. I know you're on Facebook, so just like the different social media and different places that people can find you, including your website. So how long have you guys had your blog for?
It would have been December of 2015.
I wasn't
Let's
on board
start
at
up, so.
first. I started out. It's funny that I'm not on board with a lot of things at first. So I did our Instagram for a long time, and it probably took me a good 18 months to get on board with the blog.
So yeah, like all things, when you don't know much about it, you just sort of prod around in the dark and see how it goes. Which we probably did for the first 2 or 3 years before, we started to try and get a bit more serious about it.
Oh, the joys of SEO.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I have like forever been trying to figure some of I get some of the basics of it, but I feel like it just goes so deep that I'm like, my brain gets lost with it.
It's a rabbit hole. It really is.
I love it.
Do you?
I absolutely love it. I can sit there and I'll go for one keyword, and then I love it. I just love it.
Nice.
I can't tell you how much I love it.
My assumption is that you guys are like wanting your website and all of your like online things to become your primary income so that you can travel more. Is that?
Yeah, that would be the goal for
That's
sure.
cool.
Yeah.
And so tell us where people can find you and find your website and maybe some tips, because I would love to hear some of these tips about like SEO, like what tools you use, so that if somebody wants to start their own blog, they kind of know where to get started.
You can find us everywhere.
At wyldfamilytravel.com is our
blog.
Yeah,
Wyld Family Travel is our Instagram.
Yeah.
Wyld Family Travel is our Twitter. That's Wyld Fam.
Wyld Fam Travel, because Twitter doesn't have enough characters in its name to fit everything in. Pinterest is the same, Wyld Fam Travel.
Wyld Family Travel is Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook.
Yes.
And Instagram for you.
Instagram for me.
And I also have one called World of the Wild at Instagram as well. So that's
his personal.
That's just mine.
Yeah.
So that about and on YouTube you can find us at Wyld Family Travel as well. So I really need to get out and go some places to do some more film.
It would be hard to like keep up with YouTube probably right now, but
for blogging, what tools do we use for SEO? Key search monthly.
I'm the VA. I get all the. Can you fix this? Can you just have a look at that? Can you edit that? What's going on with that? And then he's the technical side. So it's sort of, I think a lot of people start a blog and think it's going to take off in 6 months and I'm going to earn my full-time income and I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Blogging, vlogging, Instagramming, anything like that is a marathon. It is not a sprint. You've got to have a long-term plan, and you have to be able to roll with the punches, because you do get them. 1 minute you're going great guns, next minute there's pandemic, and
next minute Google changes their algorithm, or Pinterest changes their algorithm, and everything goes from being like that on the graph to going like that on the graph again. So
I think for us, and maybe even for you guys, having someone to bounce the ideas off, bounce the trouble off. Like, I'll be feeling down about the blog, uninspired, unmotivated. He'll be motivated and smash out, blog posts, YouTube videos, whatever. And then sometimes all the planets align and we're both really motivated and things are going along really well. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you want to do it, it's nothing stopping you from doing it. You just got to try.
Takes a lot of time.
It does take a lot of time,
as you would know.
We would work every day, every single day on some aspect of it. If it's not writing a blog post, it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's Pinterest, it's making the pins, it's fixing the photos for the blog posts, it's finding the keywords, it's never ending. Really. It's never ending.
I agree.
But that's not a negative thing. It's not a negative thing. It's a lot more work if you want it to be a business plan down the track.
He who lasts the longest will win, because a lot of bloggers come, like we said, thinking they're going to make their fortune, and 12 months later they're disappeared because it just hasn't happened. So, the longer you last, the more your authority is and the more likely you are to be known and watched.
I know sometimes when we walk into hotel rooms, if we have a hosted stay, it's like, stay out while we take the photos. Don't come in. Lay down on the other side of that bed. Look comfortable. Sit down. Don't leave the luggage outside. Got to get the photos. Yeah. There's a lot of pressure to get the content that you need to get out.
The last Airbnb we stayed at, Amanda's like, okay, everyone get at the door. And then I heard something. It clearly wasn't Amanda saying go, but I started going in. She's like, no, what are you doing?
You're ruining the video. Don't touch anything.
So somebody's going to invent a happy face filter for travel vlogger families.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yes.
Their kids will always look happy in pictures.
A drone is one of the next things that we would really like to have, because I think that our videos would be made a lot better if we had a drone, so that when we go to some of the cool places around here,
that establishing shot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So that will be hopefully our next kind of bigger purchase, to be able to have something like that, and then maybe a GoPro after that.
GoPro. The roads in Nova Scotia, they're very windy, and they always come up to hill crests that just, when they design the roads, I feel like the people making the roads thought, what would be the best view? When you're driving in Nova Scotia, it's a beautiful drive. It's it's road trip like gold.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'd love to have a little GoPro mounted on the car that I can turn on with a cell phone whenever you get to a good stretch of road and just be like, okay, record.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If you could go back in time to when you first had Willow and find yourselves back then, what advice would you have given yourselves right before you took that first trip?
Go more, go longer, go harder.
Yeah, go further.
Be scared.
Don't be afraid of it. I mean, your kid's going to cry at home. Your kid's going to cry when you're on holiday. It's like, they're all going to do the same thing. You're only in a different setting, and you might as well be in a setting that you're enjoying as much as you possibly can.
That's great advice. And it's what's interesting is, in the last 4 interviews that we've had, it's interesting to see the certain things keep coming up. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Just do it, and adventure can be had pretty much anywhere. We see these 3 themes happening each time, every interview.
Comment below with what holds you back from traveling full-time or even part-time. Something else, I can't remember what else I was going to say.
Like and subscribe.
Yes, thank you. Sorry. And make sure that you like and subscribe to our channel. And we are going to put links for Wyld Family below.
And if you've already subscribed to our channel, make sure you subscribe to theirs.
All right. We will see you every further mile. Bye.
Bye. Happy birthday.
Thanks for joining
us. Thanks, guys, for having us.